Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at Logan, the final...
No, I know what you're all thinking. And yes, I'm sorry, no, this was not a movie about Logan Grimnar, Chapter Master of the Space Wolves, chapter of Legio Astartes. I know you were all disappointed. You wanted to hear about the exploits of the Volca Fenrica in their never-ending battle against the forces of Chaos, the Mutant, and the Heretic. But no, we are not listening about those awesome stories about the descendants of Leman Russ, the Emperor's executioner, and one of the Primarchs, the 20 Primarch sons of the Emperor of Mankind, blessed be his name.
You've read so many of those books.
Yes,
man.
I have.
I read one Caiaphas Cain book. That's all I've got from that universe. Granted, it was a good book, but you got all the details that I don't know.
I have all 9 books in the Caiaphas Cain.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't have some of the short stories or the audio dramas, which is a shame because I hear he fights the Dark Eldar in those. And I really want to read that because the Dark Eldar are... We're getting off topic, aren't we?
A little bit. This is also not another review of Logan's Run, where they just remade it again, and this time he doesn't even run. He just stands there the whole time while the robot voice talks to him now.
No, okay, that's actually my view of hell. You know, you're trapped in one place while the robot talks to you about protein.
Protein from the sea! Dang you! What was his name? Box!
How did you forget Box? Holy shit, I have nightmares about Box.
Yeah. I think in the description of that video we just wrote, Box!
Okay, but this
is about Logan, as in Wolverine, from the X-Men, who is starring in this, probably the final X-Men movie, like among the Fox X-Men series. It started back with X-Men in, what, year 2000, was it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they could still do X-Men movies based on the alternate timeline created in Days of Future Past, where it's in the past and stuff.
Yeah, they could.
But, well, okay, this is definitely the last one to have Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and it really sells itself like a finale, and I like that. I liked from the first trailers, I was like, this is something different. This is something... gritty is an overused word, but like gritty, yeah, like it felt real and raw, and not like all the other superhero films I've seen. You know, in comparison to like the Avengers films, the MCU films are much more sort of clean, for lack of a better word, not
and
just
colorful.
Like colorful, not just physically clean, but like story wise, you know, and like this is just Logan is dealing with this sort of down-to-earth type of things, comparatively, for a superhero film. He doesn't save the world. He ends up saving, 20 kids. And that's his final mission, you know. And he doesn't manage to save, spoiler alert, himself or Professor X. And they both die, and it's so sad. But
yes, down to earth. Nothing says down to earth like evil clones.
Oh, yeah, that happened, too.
Yeah, okay, yeah, of course it frickin' happened. It was just, why? You can make these. Why are you bothering with these kids? Let them go. Just mass produce an army of Wolverine clones.
And then send them after the kids, yeah.
No, why do you even need the kids?
To cover up their illegal experimentation, I guess?
Dude, you have Wolverine clones. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Maybe. Unless somebody figures out how to bomb things from altitude, because that would beat all the guys in this film, both good and bad.
Okay, so it starts off where Logan is in the year 2029.
Yeah, 29.
So it's about, 15 years in the future-ish, 12, I don't really care.
Depending on when we recorded this.
He's a limo driver.
Yeah.
Also, we get to see a bunch of drunken girls going to prom or something, and they flash him.
Yeah, it's an R-rated film. Did I mention that?
Yeah. So it starts off with Logan being in his limo getting carjacked because some people think that it's empty, because they never heard of looking in the fucking window.
I think they were just stealing the tires, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but they should have gone, hey guys, wait a minute. Okay, I'm looking in the window. There's a guy there. Let's go on to another car where the guy won't potentially kick our asses.
But limos tend to have tinted windows in the back, don't they?
He was in the front.
Oh, well, whatever. I didn't even pay attention to that part. If I were sleeping in a stretch limo, I would sleep in the back where the stretch is.
Yeah. Maybe he was afraid that his Logan stench would get all over the place.
Yeah.
Look, I have nothing but respect for people who put their lives on the line, but I cannot imagine that Logan, in any continuity, smells nice. Also, if he's reduced to sleeping in the back seat of a car, that's going to get funky quickly.
Yeah. suppose it would.
Because last time I checked, limos did not have showers.
No.
Okay, maybe some of them.
I'm wondering if his regenerative ability regenerates good smell.
No, it does not.
He's like a walking Febreze. That should be somebody's mutant power, is just Febrezing. It just makes mad smell.
Okay, so he kills a bunch of people, mutilates the bodies, whatever. But it's revealed that, Logan's not healing as quickly. Even though he took a buckshot blast to the chest, Oh, no, he's not healing as well.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, darn, you can only shrug off a blast to the chest from a 12 gauge.
Yep.
Okay, I bet it wasn't actually a 12 gauge, but still.
Some number of gauges, whatever.
Yeah, so he attends we see, him going around doing his job, and he attends a funeral, and a crazy Mexican lady comes up and yells at him.
She's not crazy, she's just desperate.
She looks crazy at the time.
Oh, wow, I suppose.
Okay, well, from his perspective, it's a crazy lady. From his perspective,
yeah.
Yeah, so he's visiting a funeral.
I'm pretty sure he drove somebody to that funeral.
Yeah, okay.
He's a limo driver.
Also, he's drinking, so that and driving.
But again, he heals fast enough to probably make that work.
Yeah, but it's established that his healing factor isn't working, so
maybe his liver is doing particularly well compared to the rest of him.
Oh, well, how? After all it takes more punishment than the rest of his body does in this film, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Eventually, some douchebag, who I never learned the name to...
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Comes up in his... And comes into Wolverine's limo while he's dropping some stuff off at picking up some medicine at a hospital, and says, Wolverine goes, "Who are you?" And the guy never tells his name, and I never catch his name for the entire rest of the film.
Well, like Wikipedia, it's Donald Pierce.
That guy is a character in the X-Men. I've heard that frickin' name before.
No, I'll go find him for you. Wow, he looks different in the comics.
Wow.
He's all glimmery and dressed in white and smiling.
He looks slightly less like a douchebag, but more like a 90s character. So that's about about even then.
Okay, but I'm not gonna read this whole article.
Okay, yeah. Donald Pierce goes, "I know all about you, Logan. I know everything that you've done." I'm still like, you still haven't said who the fuck you are.
Yeah, we discovered through this movie that, old grumpy Logan became, your spirit animal.
Yeah.
Because he was always, having the attitude of, people just freaking explain stuff to me, please.
Logan is just so reasonable in this film. He's like, I don't care about this. Why are you bringing this shit to me? And actually, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He goes, "Gabriella was looking for you. I don't know who that is." Except that he does, but it was just a crazy lady in the cemetery. But, he hasn't made that connection yet. But it's like, okay, tell me if you see her. Bye. I fully expected him to go, "Who the fuck was that?" Oh, and also, for some reason, he knows about Charles Xavier. Okay, this is the dumbest thing here. He goes into the desert and says... He goes into the desert where he's living with one of the war boys from Mad Max Fury Road.
What's his name?
No, I fully believe this was a war boy.
Well,
he was an albino. He lived in the desert, and he lived in a compound that looked like it came out of Mad Max. I'm pretty sure this was the same compound from the first Mad Max movie.
No. I mean...
Okay, I know it's not actually, but let me dream, damn it, because that would make the character so much more interesting.
That would be, yeah, imagine if somebody escaped from the Mad Max world and he just decided to go live in a desert and be like normal and not race cars all the time.
Normal I don't think really counts when you're looking after the most powerful psychic in the world.
Well, different than what he used to do.
And he's saying, this guy says, "Logan, it's not working anymore."
Caliban, that's his name.
What?
Caliban.
Oh, Caliban. I thought you said Taliban.
No! God.
Well, now you understand why I was like, what the hell? Yeah, Caliban is like, "I don't think the chamber that's designed to keep Professor X's power sealed in is working anymore. And the medicine is going down. The medicine is decreasing in its effectiveness." And then we see the chamber that Professor X, who is super old and for some reason reciting Taco Bell commercials, but... Actually, when he's doing this, it's Patrick Stewart doing it, so it still sounds good.
Yeah.
So it's not like when Family Guy does this, where it's like, Taco Bell is delicious. No,
Yeah,
it's
he's
Patrick
still
Stewart.
yeah.
It's still Patrick
He's doing
Stewart.
that like Shakespearean thing he does, you know.
He's doing this Shakespearean thing, and he's talking about
He was also talking to like an
tortillas
evangelist
with
earlier.
cheese
he like
made
changed
into
topics.
the crust.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, but it's Patrick Stewart, so you love it. And we see this chamber designed to keep his powers in. It's just an overturned water tower. There are holes all over this thing. Wow. It's okay. I know they couldn't rebuild Cerebro, but really, you made this sound like it was something that was cooked up by, I don't know, Gadget or one of the X-Men with his vast fortune. In fact, where did that fortune go? Where did the jet go?
Yeah, maybe after he accidentally killed everybody, he also lost his money. I don't know.
Yeah, it's part of the backstory is that Chuck went nuts.
He didn't go. He had he has a degenerative brain disease, so like it gives him these seizures once in a while,
and it makes everyone kind of freeze in place, and
they can't breathe. And eventually, they can die from that.
Yeah, so it's implied that happened at the mansion, but really, you didn't take the stealth supersonic VTOL jet? That would have solved all of the problems of this movie.
Yeah,
it's like we need to get to Canada. Okay, we're there. It's only an hour later. Movie over!
Well, so I told you during the film, there's a neat little theory that, because the X-Men comics appear in this movie, and the theory is that all the previous X-Men films were just depictions of the comics from the Logan movie, which is like the real world. And in that real world, he might not have ever had a subsonic jet. Like, that's exactly the sort of thing you would make up to make a story sound more interesting, is to give the good guys lots of cool tech. So, you know, if you think of it that way, then we could explain away a lot of problems. But yeah, you get to ignore a lot of continuity that way, too.
But once you get into that, you know, these are just people. If you don't have this weight of history behind them...
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, Chuck is in his super awesome, not technology at all, rusted out water tower thing that's... Logan is just keeping him in and feeding him medicine to nullify his psychic powers or something. And then he gets a message saying, please come to this motel.
Like, he's being hired for a limo job, he figures. And then he gets there, and it's Gabriella, and her daughter is not actually her daughter.
Laura. And,
she says, we're on the run from bad people, transgen, and they're going to try and kill us, and please, 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 take us to these specific coordinates. We'll give you, like, $50,000. And Logan's like, I really don't want to get involved with this. I think the trope for this is heroic neutral, except he's not neutral towards the whole world. He's just, I really just want to take care of Charles, and I can't bother with other people's problems.
Refusal of the call.
Refusing the call, right, yeah.
Yeah, which... Admittedly, that's part of why I like him so much. He's just constantly trying to refuse the call the entire time. And it's like, no, go away.
See, that's one of those attributes that makes it less of what I was saying, like a clean story that you see in other things, where people are more like, yes, I'm jumping into my superhero role because, like, that's what the plot asks of me. And little things like that, where it's just like, no, not fitting into your mold quite the same way.
Go away!
You know?
Okay, then he says, no, okay, fine, I'll do it. You're paying me $50,000 though, so I can buy this boat, and then Chuck and I can live on the ocean.
Mm.
But Caliban is, like, against this plan because he's a vampire?
He doesn't do well under sunlight.
That's an understatement. He starts bursting into fucking flames.
Well,
okay, he doesn't actually burst into flame, but...
He, like, rots away or something.
Yeah, okay, that is the shittiest mutant power. Okay, you're weak against the thing that keeps us alive.
Well, yeah, he's got a weird thing. Anyway, he's not completely against the boat plan. He's just, like, complaining about it, but okay, fine, whatever. Because once Logan shows up to say, hey, Charles, I'm going on this trip, like, Caliban doesn't try to stop him, whatever. So
then again, would you try to stop Wolverine doing anything?
Yeah.
Wolverine, don't eat those razor blades. Okay, you're eating the razor blades anyway. Okay.
It was actually an interesting conversation the two of them had a little earlier in the film, where Caliban is pointing out that Wolverine's healing's not working quite as well, and he's like, you gotta open up to me, Logan, and talk to me what's going on. And he kind of had like the emotional upper hand in a way. Like Logan was still shutting him out, but Caliban's like, understanding shit, even though Logan doesn't want to explain it. And he says, well, like, he was talking about this one drug, and you have to get the higher dosage. And Logan looks at it, and later he's like, yeah, I can tell you can't read the label on that anymore. It says ibuprofen. Like,
oh wait, the drugs he was getting was not ibuprofen then.
Right, yeah, he's supposed to get other drugs.
Oh, I thought that it was just that Logan couldn't read the label, and drug that was keeping Chuck's psychic powers in check was ibuprofen. No. That was going to be the thing I was going to complain about. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know. Some rare, unnamed drug is what he's getting from the hospital there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's neat to see Caliban have a little moment to himself there. So Logan takes the job. He goes back to tell Xavier about it. Goes to the hotel and finds Gabriella's
dead and posed for some reason.
I mean, I assume they just slit her throat while she was sitting, though. How did they sneak up on her while she was sitting? Yeah, she was posed.
She was posed because like everything else was like flipped over.
Yeah, that's
but for some reason they left like all of her shit and her phone.
Well, if you notice, it was like a little secret compartment thing he got it out of.
Yeah,
that she had revealed to him before.
Yeah. Okay. So. And then Laura, being awesome, sneaks into his trunk without him noticing, because awesome.
I'm just imagining her picking the lock with a claw.
Okay, and so Wolverine goes back to the compound where he's keeping Chuck, and he's like, well, that didn't work out.
Now, come to think of it, what were the bad guys doing at this point? They show up, they killed Gabriella, Laura goes hiding somewhere, and then the bad guys leave. Maybe they were following a false trail or something, but she was apparently in the area because she hides in the trunk as soon as she arrives.
She was like in the building, and these guys are not shy with collateral damage. They murder like a lot of people.
You think at the very least they would set up like a cordon around the area and wait while they, see if she tries to come out.
And why do they wait? They know where he lives. They mention Chuck.
Well, they... Yeah, I guess they do know where he lives because they go and find him, don't they?
Yeah, so why do they even need to do that? They just need to stop him as he's leaving the city limits and just go, okay, hold still, we're going to search the truck. And before he even has a chance to get emotionally attached to this girl, they just take her away. And he's like, okay, I didn't want the girl anyway. Bye.
Yeah, that'd be sad, though.
Okay, yes, it would be sad, but it would be more logical.
Yeah.
Why do villainous companies have to be evil?
Wait.
Saturday morning evil.
Oh, okay.
There's a difference between evil, like what Londo Mollari does, where he basically sacrifices an entire island full of people in order to stop the shadows. I mean, like, no, wait, hang on. Where he basically says, okay, I need these shadow allies to murder all of these innocent people so that I can advance my agenda of murdering people. But the way he does it is intelligent. And then you have Team fucking Rocket stuff. And so often it goes... it's not... People go, okay, just because they're an evil corporation, they have to act Saturday morning. Purge everything and needlessly complex death plan seem to be the only tools in their arsenal.
I mean, I've seen villains be...
And before you try to defend this movie, they made an evil clone of Wolverine. You know which side of the line they fall on.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying I've seen villains be a lot more hammy, though. The two guys we see, Pierce and Dr. What's his name?
Dr. Douche?
Xander Rice. They're both, understated in a way that I liked.
Except for, cloning Wolverine and making an evil clone.
In their expression, the way they talk and whatever. It wasn't like, I am evil, mwahaha, that type of thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, they approach Wolverine, no weapons drawn on, and he's like, Wolverine, I see we've met. It was I who poisoned the water and the food and made all the mutants disappear. And it was I who used your DNA to make these children... Except he doesn't laugh.
He doesn't laugh. No.
Like, okay, the way he acts is understated, but everything else about him is just pure Saturday morning villain. He explains the whole evil plan to Wolverine.
He does, but like kind of casually and at the end when he thinks Wolverine's about to die anyway, which, okay, I guess that's also a Saturday morning thing.
Yeah.
But it had to come up somehow. So
yeah, the only thing differentiating this guy from Dr. Evil is hair.
And you gotta go for the scope of the plan, because your typical Saturday morning crew is going to either blow up or enslave the Earth, and this guy is just making weapons to eventually use at some point. Who knows? Shrug. That was more corporate.
Okay, yeah. Still, though, no. A lot of these corporate evil bad guys just never sit well with me, because I keep coming back to this thing of they're a corporation, they are beholden to their stockholders. Okay, admittedly, this is the same problem as Batman, where it's like, okay, so, guys, there's this $80 billion being funneled into something called Project Eat the Moon. Can you please explain that and why it's costing us money? Well, no. Don't worry, we're just in the middle of making an operation to turn the moon into a rocket to attack the sun. We're cutting your funding right now. I mean, okay, how about you take that money, the technologies you're developing that, and making a new cell phone? How about a moon rocket? Do you need to make... It's like this bleeding edge science is always being used for evil. And God, it's like you just make so much more money in the corporate sector.
You can run a legitimate business like the Penguin does.
Okay.
He doesn't do it with the technology, but still.
But yeah, the Penguin realized, hey, wait a minute, I could make money off this shit. In fact, that's what Lex Luthor does. He sells his technology. That's true. That's why they switched him over from being, a mad scientist into a businessman. Well, that and the fact that Lex Luthor, when they made the switch over, businessmen were considered more evil than mad scientists because recessions and some such, I don't really care.
Yeah, who knows.
But still, it's like, okay, we figured out how to perfect human cloning. Now, what do we do with this? Do we spread this technology to make sure that people who previously could not have children could have children? Do we use this as a way to vat grow organs? Do we use this as a way to make the entire world into superhumans to perfect the species? Or do we make pointlessly evil weapons which we will quickly lose all control over? Which that's what happens. We learn that Laura is one of a group of children created for the purpose of being living weapons.
It worked out so much better for the Spartan 2s.
Okay, for the Spartan 2, but that's the thing that I kept yelling about in the movie. Yeah. One of the difference that the Spartan 2s in Halo had over these children was they didn't say, here's a gun, kill shit. They hammered into them, indoctrinated, really. Okay, look, I like the Halo series. And one of the things of the Spartan 2 thing that modern Halo works seem to forget is it was an act of necessity to prevent a civil war that could have destroyed the human race permanently. It was not meant to be a morally right action. It was the only action, the best action out of a lot of really bad ones. Modern Halo stories seem to think that Dr. Halsey was Dr. Mengele who did all this shit for shits and giggles and make her out to be worse than Hitler. Yeah. She did morally questionable things. She did modify children to be super soldiers. That's not good. I'm not saying that it was good. I'm not even saying that the fact that the Spartan 2 program ended up saving humanity from the Covenant was a good thing. But it was done at multiple levels. Halsey was not the only one responsible, and she was constantly supervised at every level. She did not do this for shits and giggles. She cared about all of these children.
So much more ambiguous and interesting character than perhaps Dr. Rice is, comparatively.
Yes. But one of the main things that they did in the Spartan 2 program was indoctrination into the UNSC and the chain of command is the right thing. It may not always have been the right thing, but they
could depend on the obedience of the soldiers they had created. As opposed to this project, which is just all over the place.
Yes, the Spartan 2 project also had casualties in those who were helping to train and raise the Spartans. But those were people who knew the differences, who could expect to be, put in these dangerous situations. And they were training soldiers. There's gonna be problems. But the Spartans would always finish the mission and come home. At least in the training stages. Once they started going into actual warfare, they suffered losses. But still, they knew what they had to do, and they did not rebel. Okay, there was one guy who ran away, but...
The vast majority of them are very obedient.
Yeah, okay, well, that guy was an exception, and there was mitigating circumstances. But anyways, what they got instead was more of corporate evil. instead of treating these people like people and trying to instill loyalty to the company brand or to anything else, knowing the old saying, hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, they instead treat them like assets, saying, don't smile at them, treat them like things. Naturally, the children had no problem with murdering their way through everything when it was time for them to get them out.
Yeah. I mean, the best I could say is that the real life bad corporations are known for just thinking of people as though they were items on a spreadsheet. They're not known for creating armies of super soldiers. But I'm saying, like, that we're looking as an exaggerated version of a real flaw.
Yes, that is true. But when you're dealing with something who you'd think that there would be someone somewhere along the line that said, hey, maybe we should make sure these guys aren't willing to kill us.
Yeah, it would perhaps be a little more plausible if they'd had some, like, mind control-y plan and that just broke down so the kids' natural personalities came out and that's when they rebelled.
But there's no indication of any of that.
There's no indication of that, no.
So it seems to be try to raise kids to be soldiers and then be really surprised when they start setting us on fire.
Yeah, poor planning.
Yeah.
Also tragic for the kids, which is the main angle the movie is going for there.
Yeah, because, who did they get on board with this project? How did they do this? It was like, okay, step one, I need you to overcome every instinct we have as a human species and torture and experiment on children.
To be fair, that has happened in the real world.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
God damn it. I hate our fucking species sometimes. So, anyways, Laura was made from Wolverine's DNA and also psychic DNA, maybe?
No, when Charles says we've been communicating, I think he means he transmits thoughts to her and then reads her thoughts back.
Yeah, but later she says she can hear things.
Well, no. You're talking about when he woke up after the nightmare and they're talking? You're talking about this?
See, the one where I made the comments, well, yes, honey, that's what... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you misheard that. She was saying, I hurt people, and she said, I hurt people too.
Oh, I thought that was I heard people, as in my head, which admittedly, this is a superhero universe, so that is possible.
Yeah, but no, it was she's all just Wolverine-styled in her powers.
Yeah, so... Wait, how did Chuck even know to do that? Did she just not... Okay, I'm going to scan the minds of every human being in 1,000 miles, and anyone who feels like a mutant, I'm just going to talk to randomly.
That was his whole thing with Cerebro back in the day.
Okay, yeah, but he's not supposed to be doing that. He's supposed to be on these medicines that stop him from doing that.
Nah, the medicine, he's not getting a high enough dose, though. That was established. So.
Yeah, okay.
I know it's a little ambiguous, but it's okay enough. I mean, she wasn't, like, in, Alaska or something when he sensed her. She was in Texas.
Yeah. Though, okay, so we're really getting off topic here, but so Laura is part of this group and the bad guys come to Wolverine's compound of weird and try to kill them all.
Wolverine's compound of weird.
Let's see. Caliban gets taken prisoner and they decide to torture him by leaving him out in the sunlight until he agrees to do stuff. Actually, he doesn't agree to do stuff. They just let him out in the sunlight and then lecture at him for a little bit and then put a hood back on him and say, bring him to the car.
Well, no, he did do stuff. It just...
Sorry.
It was referenced that he was doing the stuff off screen, and the stuff he does is to be...
Well, no. I mean, in the initial interrogation scene when he said, there's not even do this or we'll continue to do this.
They said, I hope you can help play for our team one last time. It was kind of implied that use your power to find those people we're clearly looking for.
Okay, so yeah. Anyways, so they go on the great road trip with Professor X and Laura.
There was a moment there, by the way, where they could have killed Pierce. Remember this? And he doesn't.
Yeah.
I guess he was hoping to play nice. I don't know. There was a pretty cool scene where they're escaping from, let's call it Wolverine's compound of weird, now that you've named it that.
Yeah.
We're doing car foo with the freaking fence, other than trying to ram a fence and it doesn't work. And he has to back up and there's a fence attached to his fender, but he uses that to kill the motorcycle dudes.
And then there's one motorcycle dude who's just being dragged along while he's being he's stuck to the barbed wire, and he's being dragged along. He's still trying to shoot.
Yeah, really
you gotta like how the normal guys who don't have powers just are so badass in this film. Mm-hmm. Even if they're evil, that's like... I mean, that he could do anything other than scream right then is just kind of amazing.
Yeah. It is a little weird, and you have to, like, think of this, another fridge logic thing, where you're like, okay, so they know who they're going after. They know they're going after Wolverine and this girl made from Wolverine's DNA and has the same powers. And they do not bring enough firepower to make this mission work.
Yeah.
And maybe that was all the guns they could manage on short notice. Like, that's plausible.
They know Charles Xavier is living here and that the man's brain is classified as a weapon of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring like 20 guys with assault rifles.
Yeah, it would be nice if they had, I don't know, more of a strategy that would have worked, except Wolverine got clever right at the last second, or Laura got clever or something.
Okay, we have two people who are absurd living blenders in melee range. Get into melee range, everyone!
Yeah, no, surround the entire place with snipers at, like, the horizon's distance, and just keep sniping them all day.
Yeah,
just wait till they fall over.
Or drones. They have drones.
Yeah,
firebomb the place, and when they run out because their place is on fucking fire, shoot them at range.
See, this is the trouble. You guys got to do the inverse ninja law thing, where the small number of people can hold their own against the large number. Well, and of course, that's never been super realistic.
Yeah, but they're trying to.
It was a cool scene. So you just suspension of disbelief and all that.
It was a cool scene, but once you think about it, it doesn't really hold up because this is trying to be a more realistic film in some ways.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Transcendent doesn't have infinite, goons, and they just sent all the goons they could get, and they were.
Hey, wait a second. Why didn't they have adamantium bullets if they knew they were going up against Wolverine? I mean, it's not like they didn't.
Oh my god, they could have. Yeah, one shot would have killed him.
Have adamant. Wait, did they graft adamantium onto Laura's skeleton?
They did. That was on her chart.
Hey, wait a second.
So they have access to adamantium. They could make bullets out of it.
I mean, they coated evil Wolverine's skeleton with it, so why didn't they do this? I mean, I presume they'd have a way to put down evil Wolverine, so why not have a way to put down regular Wolverine? You have access to his DNA, you could make like a gene toxin or something. But here's another thing. Laura's a little girl. She's got to still be growing. She's going to die soon.
So the comics...
Her bones are going to shred themselves trying to grow, except that the adamantium won't let them grow. She's going to be horribly deformed. We were talking about the Spartan 2 project. They had to wait until the Spartan 2s were fully grown before they put on the titanium 2 onto their skeletons so that it didn't cause deformities.
Yeah. There is, this is a hand wave, but in the comics they previously established there's like regular adamantium, and then there's this other type that like doesn't interfere with normal bone processes.
What?
Oh yeah, it was like adamantium D or something. Because somebody was like, that like T cells or something get produced in the bones, and like how do they get released if there's an invincible barrier on them? And it's like, oh, it's this other type of adamantium that does exactly what you think it does, but it also works out biologically somehow. Hand wave.
Yeah. Okay. So we've just established that Laura is doomed to horrible, horrible agony.
I'm just gonna assume somehow. Hand wave.
Okie dokie then. So they go on this road trip and they go to...
Oklahoma City.
Yeah. That's kind of far. I mean, we don't really see any of the intervening time, which admittedly, I've been in that part of the country before. It is nothing out there, so...
Well, yeah.
But... Okay, so they go to Oklahoma City, which looks like Las Vegas. And all I'm thinking is, they said explicitly Laura was from an area... raised in this place where they never saw the sun or anything, and everything was white walls and bricks. So you bring her to a casino. I've lived in the real world, and I still got sensory overload in a casino.
Casinos are designed for that.
Yeah. That shouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get the angle they're going for it. These kids are psychologically messed up because of all the trauma they've been through. But when you think about it, she should be even more messed up than she is. Like just being like psychologically mute is one thing, but you could do even further than that. And also she can be murderous, but like,
But she doesn't really
further than that.
We don't really see how she's different other than being really quiet and kind of shy.
And casually stealing stuff, and is about to stab that one guy at the convenience store, and he's like, "Not okay." Okay. Basic parenting, Wolverine. All right, cool.
Okay, basic parenting. Not okay to murder.
Not okay. Kids, I know as much as you want to, Please.
Don't murder people. Okie dokie then.
Spooky.
So, yeah, there's a scene at a convenience store, and they keep going north, and...
They get to Oklahoma City, and while they're at the hotel, they watch this old Western, Laura and Charles do. And Laura just gets in his, like, chair and starts, like, electronically wheeling it around, like...
Okay, I'm gonna be honest here, people. This is probably the most horrible desire I've ever... Okay, well, one of the more horrible desires I've ever had. You know, I've had some pretty dark ones. I've wanted to do that.
We go around in an electronic wheelchair. Yeah.
Well, who hasn't wanted to drive around a wheel? Okay, well, people in actual wheelchairs, but still, though, it's a chair that moves. It's like a little go-kart. Who doesn't want to do that?
Put that on a t-shirt. Or don't.
I'm going to hell.
It's okay. No. Anyway, they watch this movie, and Logan has to leave for a bit to get a new car because their current one's shot full of bullets, and the bad guys probably know the license plate and whatever.
Yeah.
So as he's getting a new car, the bad guys show up and attack Charles and Laura. And he triggers a seizure at that very moment and freezes the entire hotel casino full of people.
Yeah.
So there's a badass scene of Wolverine going up to the hotel room and then killing all the guys before stopping the seizure. Got the order there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was afraid that they was going to go up to Charles, give him the seizure medicine, and then have to fight all the guys. But no, he did the Batman Arkham Asylum thing on easy mode, where they can't move, and you're just doing the silent takedowns. No, that's the part where we took out literally every person in the city before we figured it out. That still will not be not funny. That still is always funny.
Yes. Good old double, triple negatives. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and so they realize we gotta go, and Charles hasn't been taking his medicine. So they go, and they see auto trucks, which is...
I liked that. I mean, you were saying earlier in the film, like, how, this doesn't look like the future. And I was like, well, he's got a fully digital dash. And then later the auto trucks come up, and that really is the future. Okay, and that's a plausible future.
Yeah. And the auto trucks nearly run him off the road. I thought this was going to be the start of a big action scene where the bad guys have taken control of the auto trucks.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the Autobots have to show up to fight them.
No, okay. They help this... farmer?
Yeah, there's a farmer who's got some horses in a horse trailer, and then they get out and kind of freak out, so they stop. And Charles mind controls the horses into calmness, and then eventually it's like, hey, maybe come over to our house for dinner.
And they do, despite the fact that they're being hunted by guys who have shown no problem with civilian casualties. Or killing anything that happens to be in their way. Oh, and the family's all black, so, I don't know why, but, if there's going to be, like, people dead in a movie, it's generally the black guys. I do not know why this is.
Well, there's a long sociological discussion there. I was just wondering, though, I mean, we know the bad guys are evil because of the way they mistreated kids, but up until that point in the movie, have we seen them kill unrelated civilians thus far?
At least torture them.
Oh, the convenience store guy. They did.
Yeah.
That's true.
The convenience store guy. So, yeah. So it's this... The scene was okay if taken in and of itself. Uh-huh. The problem with it is that it's just beating you over the head. This is what Logan's life could be like if he just relaxed and settled down. And we know that Logan's life is going to be hell because we can't have him be happy ever. So all of these people are going to die horrible, gruesome deaths. And it's going to be tragic and awful. And the kids talking about, oh, I don't know what I want to do with my future. I want to drop out. I have these trophies for second and third place in roping contests, but I'm not that good. We have Charles Xavier saying, this has been the best night I've had in a long time. The little girl looks like she's going to be friends with the kid, and it's just like also sickeningly sweet.
I mean, personally, when I saw it, because I saw it once before we watched it together, and it didn't hit me like too hard over the head. It was like I could see what we were going for here, and it was nice to see that in a superhero film, like just this idea of this is what normal life is like, and we get to relax and enjoy it for a bit. And yes, you're right, you saw it coming that it all turns to hell. I wasn't being quite as savvy when I first saw it. Like I was just kind of taking it one moment at a time.
Look, if they're taking a moment out to see when there are people hunting them, the hunters are gonna find them. There's going to be a farm battle.
Yeah, I
which
get that.
Unfortunately I didn't get to see, Logan running people over with tractors. So that's a big downside to this battle. And they go out to fix this water pipe for some reason.
So they kind of explain amongst themselves that some jerks are trying to like buy their land at a, essentially steal their land, like force them to sell it at a low price. And one of the jerk things they do is they screw up the water lines once in a while. And like, we'll just keep harassing you guys until you either agree to our demands or, we might freaking kill you if we get around to it. So yeah, he has to go fix the water mains that supply his farm.
And they do, and they meet some jerks, and then Logan punches one of the jerks.
Yeah.
And they go back to their farm.
His gun.
And then we meet evil Wolverine clone, which is your sign to not take anything seriously in this movie.
Look, so much to take seriously. But I know you're getting at.
But let's be honest here. Of all the things you can take a lot of things from other movies that like Hugh Jackman has been in, like you said, How It Should Have Ended did Les Miserables. Was the plot point you really needed the bad guy from Star Trek Nemesis? An evil clone of one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Because, the Star Trek Nemesis was awesome. Fuck that movie.
It's a good movie to make fun of.
Yeah. Okay, they have an evil clone of Wolverine come in, slaughter everybody except for Laura. And yes, this does include Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier dies on his bed, looking at his closest friend that he still has, and then that friend murders him.
He does live a few minutes after that and mumbles something, and he seems to like understand that was not the real Logan. But yeah,
he lives in a superhero universe. You understand evil clones happen.
I mean, I reflected on that plot point a bit and thought, like, if they were trying to go for more of Logan wondering whether or not he's a good person, this was like symbolic of, what he's afraid he is or could be or something. And they did sort of allude to that. I mean, he is refusing the call at the beginning and whatever. He ends up getting killed by that evil clone, and that's sort of symbolic of this dangerous life he's been living has finally caught up with him and stuff. But I am kind of having to stretch it to make that all fit.
Yeah, it's an evil clone.
Yeah.
Why would you make that? You've already... Why would you need anything else if you can perfectly clone human beings and turn them into killing machines? Why would you need this whole plan with the children? Why would you need anything? You can fully clone human beings. There are so many practical and industrial applications for that. You were able to recreate the adamantium process that worked on Wolverine. You reverse engineered the healing factor. But no, you just have a evil Wolverine clone because we're evil. The Caliban guy, he kills himself with a grenade and kills some of the other guys.
He has a badass line before he does that.
Yeah. Beware the light, because that's what his mom used to say to him.
They used to, like that he had, Donald Pierce, whatever his name was, had taunted him with that before. So he says it, though he says it in a way that tips off Donald Pierce enough that he doesn't get caught in the explosion. It was sort of like, maybe don't say anything and just chuck it to him really quietly and he'll actually get killed.
Yeah.
Donald Pierce and not you,
And the evil Wolverine clone, well, the dad guy from the farm survives long enough to run evil Wolverine clone right the fuck over with a truck, slams him into a thresher, and shoots him like 4 or 5 times with a shotgun. Yeah. So, that's kind of amazing. But if you saw earlier in the movie where real Wolverine survived a point-blank shotgun blast, that's not going to stick. Yeah. Then he sees real Wolverine, tries to kill him because, hey, this might also be the guy who killed my family, or tried to actually kill me. Clicks the gun once, out of bullets, and then he drops dead.
I like that thing where you hear him click the gun. And, again, I'm reaching for that deeper meaning of, here's a good civilian who suddenly sees our main character as the bad guy, and how does little Wolverine reflect on that? And there's, I'll admit, not quite as much room as there should be to explore these deeper themes.
There was no deeper theme other than
There is
Wolverine's
something.
life is a living hell. Any attempt by him to be happy will result in everything he touch exploding.
He does say that later on. Not the exploding part, but he says, people that I care about get hurt. Remember, he's all like yelling.
Even if he doesn't care about them, these were people he knew for less than 12 hours. But just
anyway.
because they were near him. Also, Laura is really accepting that this isn't the clone.
He does free her from her bonds. That the clone had put her in the bonds.
Yeah, but still, it's a clone. That's one of those things where you have to usually say, I don't know, reveal trusted details. But Wolverine's known her for less than a week, so what trusted details could he possibly know? Anyway, so they go and they bury Charles in the woods, and this leads to one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Wolverine gets really mad and starts beating up his pickup truck with the shovel. I don't know why I love this scene, but it's just... Someone wrote that in. Someone said, all right, Mr. Jackman, we need you to go into a berserk rampage and start hitting a car with a shovel. No, don't question it. This is how the scene needs to go. Here's the shovel. Yes, we need you to beat up a pickup truck with a shovel. No, we are not on narcotics. No, we were not when we wrote this. It's just, someone wrote this scene. And then, after he's done, he collapses in the middle of the road. Okay, well, admittedly, he's lost a lot of blood at this point, and his healing thing isn't the greatest, but still, though. But conveniently, they parked right near a place where a guy is gonna go fishing, so Laura steals his keys and his car and drives him into a near town.
It was neat to see her taking action.
I mean, yes, it was cool to see her taking action, but it just the convenience of the timing. Admittedly, that doesn't take away from the awesomeness of Shovel Knight Origins, but just it's a little convenient after that big contrived scene of hammering in that Wolverine will never be happy.
It didn't feel as contrived to me as it did to you. I know it got that message into it, but it felt
probably
sad and tragic to me.
It probably isn't as contrived. It's just that when my emotions are up, I'm more likely to, instead of brushing someone off if they poke me in the shoulder, I'm more likely to punch them. I mean, not that I'd actually do that, but you know how that is.
The thought process.
When you're irritated, you're more likely to take more extreme actions.
I see.
But, okay.
So she drops him off at a doctor who helps him out a little bit and is like, you need to go to a hospital. And he's like, nope. Please just forget I was ever here. So does the smart thing. He learned from the example on the farm. Just leave the civilians out of it. Right the frick now.
And then he goes out to the new car. Thanks, Laura.
The stolen car. And this comes the other favorite scene.
Laura starts speaking. She's been mute the whole movie, but only now does she start speaking. And in Spanish. Because apparently, even though he's worked on the border of Mexico for years, he doesn't know Spanish.
There are a lot of Americans don't know Spanish.
Yeah, but he lives in Mexico. He crosses the border daily. So, okay, I understand, yes, that is a thing. It's just a little less likely that he wouldn't know at least conversational Spanish.
That's true. Yeah, he might know some. Apparently he knows none. He's been busy.
So the first thing he says is, are you fucking kidding me? You could have talked this whole frickin' time?
Spirit animal.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love Logan in this movie. He's just so everything that I wish I could say in these movies. In fact, I was calling out a lot of these plot points.
Just before they would happen, yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, I'm psychic! Except not really. So Wolverine gets irritated. He starts telling her, no, Eden, they have this goal the whole movie to go to Eden. Because of this one X-Men comic book that said Eden is this place in North Dakota with these coordinates, and it's actually in the comic book. These coordinates are where Eden, the place where all the X-Men will be able to hide out, is. So it's saying Eden does not exist. This is a fairy tale. This shit never happened. I was in these comics and I didn't. And then Laura punches him in the face with her adorable tiny hand.
Yeah. It's like that. There's the only person to punch Wolverine and get away with it.
She really is.
It's a new moment right there.
Yeah. So it was also kind of adorable, but she finally annoys him into driving all the way there. So that's a thing. Unfortunately, it turns out that when they left the house, Laura left behind the picture of her friends, which had the coordinates to the place they were supposed to be going on there.
So our bad guys are still involved.
Yep. And also, for some reason, they can take over a high school gymnasium.
Yeah, it looked like they were meeting in a high school gymnasium.
They were in a high school gymnasium. You could see the mascot on the wall.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah.
Also, they had a weird line where they said, okay, take a DNA sample from
Caliban.
From Caliban, but that never turns up again.
Yeah, apparently that's like setting up for a sequel, whatever. Speaking of which, I've been checking Wikipedia, and they are planning to make 2 more X-Men movies.
Oh,
you know, I really think we had a conclusion here, you guys, but alright, Hugh Jackman's still not coming back, though.
Okay, maybe Deadpool did mention that there was like different timelines in his movie. Like there was the Patrick Stewart one and the one from Days of Future Past.
The 2 of them both existed in the Deadpool movie?
Well, he mentioned that there were 2 timelines. He wasn't sure which one that his movie took place in.
Oh, right. He's got a fourth wall breaking thing the whole time. Anyway,
yes,
I think of him as his own little universe. I know X-Men show up in it, but like that's the Deadpool series. This is the X-Men series.
Okay, still though, I'm trying to figure out this stuff in a way that makes sense. That's kind of what we do around here. So it could be taking place in those. Anyways, they get there, and shock of shocks, there's not a comic booky super science thing building.
But there is just like some regular buildings, like wooden buildings.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, Wolverine falls asleep like halfway there. Then Laura drives the car the rest of the way there. Then he gets out of the car. He wakes up after like who knows how long he's been asleep. Gets out of the car, walks about 50 feet, and then has to be towed up to the top of this cliff, and then sleeps for 2 more days.
He's old and not healing so well.
Okay, but still, though, it maybe like have him be awake until he gets to the top and then collapse from his injuries.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it looks like, my God, I've gone 50 feet. I am exhausted.
Yeah, I did like the image, though, of him when he's laying prone and they're pulling him up by a rope, and there's a shot from him from below, and from below it looks like a coffin. Like they're hinting at that. It was a neat little thing.
I didn't catch that actually, so I was probably making a snarky comment. Which is really what I do. You know the thing, don't talk during the movies? That's specifically aimed at me, and I'm sorry. Every time I do that, I feel sorry. But I can't help it. I have MST3K in my blood.
They should set up separate talking and non-talking theaters. You know, like we'll just go to the show talking screen and just talk the whole time at the show and see what other people have to say.
Yeah, but I do this all the time. Even when I'm by myself, I will yell at the screen for people being idiots.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. Anyways, so Wolverine is like, okay, so you need to move. Because they're like, we are going to move. Before dawn tomorrow, before dawn, we're leaving. Really? Really? That's common sense?
Yay!
Wow. Unfortunately, the bad guys have drones and spot that the kids are going to be leaving. Le gasp. Wolverine, wakes up after they've left, realizes, oh shit, the bad guys are coming, grabs this super serum medicine that allows you to heal really fast, but it puts strain on your internal organs if you take all the medicine at once. So it means you're going to die if you take all of it at once.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about it making you go crazy was the effect they mentioned.
Yeah, but it's Wolverine. How could you tell?
Yeah.
So he takes all of it at once because he's Wolverine and he needs to do this. And he goes and there's a lot more killing and the kill and the kill and the kill and the kill. And Laura and Wolverine are killing. All the other kids are rounded up.
Father-daughter bonding,
All the other kids are rounded up and put in this middle of this field.
It was confusing what they were intending to do with the kids, because they said during the high school gymnasium scene, well, I thought you said you wanted them dead or alive. But then they spend the rest of their time acting like they really want these kids alive, and dead will not cut it.
Yeah, but they already said earlier they found something better than the kids, which is apparently the Wolverine clone, so why did you need the kids?
I thought that it was like a cover-up thing. They just didn't want anyone to know they had illegally created these kids to begin with.
And then they said they were going to put him to sleep. But then they say, we want him alive.
Yeah, that makes
No
No
sense.
sense.
So finally, the Wolverine comes to face with the bad guy, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Wolverine. You're really badly wounded, and you can't regenerate because, and I know this because, shut up."
He could. I mean, he invented a clone Wolverine. He knows what it looks like when the serum stops working, right?
Yeah, and he said, "Yes, it was I who was responsible for making sure no more mutants because we put in like genetic modifiers into all of the food." Except that if it made it so that there weren't any more mutants, how come Wolverine still has his powers?
Because it affects how you're born and not how you are later in life.
Except that wouldn't it make, like, wasn't that the plot of the X-Men? That was the plot of X-Men 3. They were making a thing that would cure mutantism.
Right, but this one only works at preventing your gene from activating in the first place and not deactivating a gene that already is active.
Yeah, but wouldn't that make more sense to do that and prevent the people who have, like, lasers for brains and magnetos from destroying the world?
Yeah, but who says they have that technology? I mean, that was on X3. I don't think X3 is canon to this. As I said, it's like a comic book within. It's not really canon.
Okay, but wait, if they modified people's genes so that the way they're born is different, then how did they get the kids to...
Well, they exempted from their evil plan. Like, the mothers who were giving birth to them were not fed the tainted corn syrup. They were fed
Also, you'd think that the U.S. government would eventually catch on to this and do their own independent research and monitor their own goddamn water supplies to figure out, hey, there's shit in this food.
Yeah, it's a little confusing exactly how much power transgen has. Because they've shut down, come to think of it, they've shut down mutations in the entire planet. Nobody's like, oh, you know, the mutants, those are only in China nowadays. Like, everywhere on the Earth is apparently eating the same corn syrup.
Yeah, even if you're like in, you know, Zimbabwe.
They're still eating corn syrup.
Never seen anything in your life like it, but you'd think that it would be like...
That's the real horror of this dystopian future, is everyone is eating corn syrup. The entire world population.
Okay, but, like, you'd think that somewhere, government's doing research in order to prevent, like, other foreign powers from having superhumans. I mean,
somebody would notice. Yeah.
Someone would notice this shit.
I mean, I like this idea of no new mutants being born, and it's been, 25 years since the last one was born, and so there's a sense of, oh, mutant kind is slowly dying out. And not in a, we're getting exterminated way by, like, what do you call them? Sentinels or whatever. But, like, in this slower, ambiguous way, and nobody knows what's going on, was kind of a neat idea. It fit with that grittiness of the show. But yeah, when you think about it logically, how did they get everyone to eat that corn syrup and associated products?
Yeah, it just...
But then I love this moment upcoming, though, because he said, he mentions his plan and how they're just controlling mutations and whatever.
Although, I don't get why he's doing this. This is Saturday morning cartoon villain plan, but he's not explaining anything that's relevant at all. I mean, okay, yes, it was I who prevented the birth of mutants. We don't care. There's... That was like barely a plot point. That was just to explain why there aren't all these other mutants. Well, that doesn't really have anything to do with these kids, or why you've been chasing them, or why you want them dead, except not dead, except they want to be dead, except not dead, except... What?
Yeah, it's confusing when you think
about it. It doesn't explain why you created an evil Wolverine clone. It doesn't explain why you created these kids in the first place.
Wait. The whole reason why they created kids and clones was because they're essentially like a defense contractor of some kind, and they're making weapons. Because weapons are cool.
And
I don't know who they contract with, but apparently somebody wants weapons.
And what government in the world would say, yeah, this is okay, that wouldn't get them immediately attacked by everyone else for using slave super soldiers on the battlefield?
Yeah, you think that would be a problem.
Yeah, it's like, we created this doomsday device. There's a reason we've had doomsday devices for about 80 years now. They're called nuclear bombs. They were never used, and there's a good reason for that. Yeah. But yeah, he's explaining all these plans, and okay, I get it. He's explaining the plans. But like I said, none of this has to do with what we are tuning in for.
Well, it's somewhat relevant, but yeah, I guess it could have been interesting if our Dr. Rice guy had... I don't know, some room for development. I don't mean him being redeemed or whatever, but there's something more personal between him and Wolverine, and like he has to tell him this stuff because it matters to him that Wolverine would know. But when he thinks of Wolverine strictly as an asset, then yeah, there's not much reason to tell him shit. Just shoot him dead right now, thanks.
And Wolverine, because he's Wolverine, pulls out a gun because no one expects him to use guns. I love
that moment. When I first saw that, like, yeah, he's standing at a distance, and Pierce has got his own gun, you know, so they're like, okay, I think we're safe now. And he's just, like, has a pistol in his pocket or something, and just, boom, shoots Pierce and shoots Rice, like, in an instant. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes, what do you know? He didn't use his claws for once. I forgot that you could just shoot things with guns.
Yeah, I mean, he was in World War... A lot of the histories say he was in World War II alongside Captain America. So, yeah, he knows how to use guns. He fought Nazis, as all good heroes should. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, but we at the Rambling Reviewers thoroughly condemn any and all racism and or Nazism, white supremacy,
yeah, that was
KKK.
In the news recently.
So, yeah.
That's awful stuff. I was so glad to see so many counter-protesters originally in Charlottesville, but then in Boston it was like a huge number of counter-protests versus the actual like KKK people who are like basically not there at all.
Yeah, you know, it's like almost like people don't like Nazis.
It's almost like people don't like Nazis. It's like there is racism in the world, but I think we Americans, we're not about to become the next Nazi regime. Like, we're willing to resist that degree of racism and evil and tyranny and, you know.
Yeah, Nazis are bad, but they are good killing.
What was that movie, Inglourious Bastards?
Huh? I wasn't even.
Not that I want to promote violence per se. Like, I'm the type that really.
You said in an R-rated movie where people get carved up like fucking turkeys.
Well, we were just talking about real life events all of a sudden, so.
Okay, but yeah, sorry.
Like, I'm the type that believes in free speech even for the people I hate. It's just I love the counter protests surrounding them, where everyone's chanting a different slogan about love and just drowns them out by sheer auditory force. That's my tactic.
Okay. Anyways, so Logan shoots these people. And then he starts slashing people again because Lord knows we haven't had enough of that in this movie.
It's his final show. He's got to do a lot of it.
And then they pull out the evil Wolverine clone again. And evil Wolverine clone kicks his ass. And Wolverine gets saved when evil Wolverine clone has its brains blown out by the adamantium bullet that Wolverine was saving.
Yeah, potentially to harm himself with.
He was going to kill himself.
Yeah, I
know. Let's not sugarcoat it. There was enough blood and brains and gore on display here. Let's not sugarcoat it.
I mean, that's, again, the dark themes you don't normally see explored in these sorts of movies. Interesting to bring it up. But yeah, we said earlier, like, wait a minute. They have adamantium bullets in this universe. They could have taken down Laura and Wolverine in, like, 2 shots.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, so Laura and Wolverine are like... Oh, don't go, Papa, don't go.
It was a tragic scene. Don't pretend it was nothing.
But, like, we've known each other for a week, so...
Yeah, but,
I'm not saying you can't forge bonds in a week, but...
She's all he has left. He's all she has, except for his friends, you know, but, like, she's just the father figure, and the tragedy of what could have been between them. You know, there's a lot there. Mm-hmm. And then I love what they did for the funeral.
Funeral. First off, they subverted expectations because you see a funerals earlier back in Oklahoma City at the hotel. Charles and Laura were watching a film and there was like a whole bunch of lines being said, but you see a scene where they're doing a funeral and they're doing the Lord's Prayer. You know, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And that's probably the
thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Yeah, that's like the first time I've said that prayer that wasn't trying to basically figure out what the song Baba Yetu was about. By the way, I love the song Baba Yetu.
Oh.
Even though it's the Lord's Prayer over and over again in Swahili.
Oh.
But it's so cool.
Right, I've heard this song.
Yeah. Anyways, I was fully expecting the kid to somehow do the Lord's Prayer over Wolverine's grave. But no, she quotes a completely different part of the movie.
And a good part, too. Do you notice how relevant it was?
Yeah, it was like the old man
Well, the
gunfighter.
The first off, you remember you misheard it. He was like, a man can't change what he is, can't break the mold, and you heard it as break the moon. A man can't break the moon, and believe me, I've tried. Is his next line? Like, wait, with my death ray.
Yes.
Okay, but anyway, though, no, but he's saying a man can't change what he is. He can't break the mold. Believe me, I've tried. He says killing brands a man, whether for right or for wrong. It sort of changes him permanently. And we're reflecting again, so we hint at those deeper themes of Wolverine has had a lot of violence in his life, and justified, but it's, kind of left this darkness in him, right? That he's lived his life that way. His last words to Laura are, "Don't become what they made you, or don't be what they made you. Don't live your life as just a violent person. Do something else with your life." And he said at the end of the little speech, he says, "Go on home to your mama, tell her everything's all right. There's no more guns in the valley." Which, literally, all the dudes with guns are dead by this point, so it's also very relevant.
Yeah, but there's still guns there,
okay,
so it's a lie. But it's not like the
technicality guy has to walk by. That's
it's not like video games where if you kill someone, their weapons also vanish. But there's something that bugs me in video games, like when I kill about 1,000 guys in Halo, I want to gather up their guns, put them in a big truck, and then sell them.
World economies, yeah.
Yeah, which admittedly does happen in some RPGs, but still, though. Anyways, and then probably one of the three best scenes in the movie. First is Wolverine Shovel Knight trying to defeat the evil truck monster. The other is Wolverine gets punched in the face by a little girl, and the third one is actually really potent because the kids are all leaving to cross the border into Canada, where they've gotten permission and said, okay, we're going to grant you asylum if you can get over the border. Laura gets about 10 feet away, stops.
They've set up
They set up a little cross over Wolverine's grave. She pulls out the cross and sets it down so it makes an X over the grave.
Yeah.
Which, there's part of me that goes, well, that's kind of disrespectful, but the other part of me goes, oh, yes. That's very fitting.
That is... Yeah.
And then there's the part of me that says,
X-Men even in death,
And there's... I mean, he lived and died trying to follow Charles Xavier's dream.
Yeah.
Trying to help the people who could not help themselves.
Yeah, I wish there'd been a little more explicit reflection on that during the movie, especially when we're not sure what's in canon now. It's like, what was it like at this school? What sort of things did they do? And what, what ideals were they striving for? They were the good guys, but you could have touched on it a little more. It'd be
was Magneto...
this is what life is for, And
was Magneto a thing?
Yeah, did Magneto also get killed at the mansion? Was he there that day, and that's why Xavier freaked out? And
were there Brotherhood of Evil Mutants things? That would make sense why people would want to get rid of mutants. But
there was a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, yeah.
Well, that's the name of Magneto's group.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But why the hell he would name him that?
I heard that somebody tried to justify that once in some comic. That, he named them the Evil Mutants so that Charles' group would be the good mutants by default, and then people would get mad at them for not living up to their standards. Or something.
That's dumb. That is dumb and stupid.
The better way to say it is just more sarcastic, ironic. You guys think we're all evil anyway, so fine, we'll just embrace that argument, you racist peoples. So mutant-phobic peoples.
Okay, I mean, sure, in the Silver Age, where, the Doom Organization, or the Dark Bad, or Evil Steam.
Evil Steam. I was just realizing the depth of Magneto compared to Dr. Rice. Because Magneto, I remember how cool this was, the first X-Men movie, that A, the technology was up there and Mystique could transform and stuff, but also B, they went deep enough that you see young Eric, what's his name? Last name, Magneto, anyway.
I don't know.
Young Magneto discovers his power during the Holocaust. He's being dragged away from his family, and he starts reaching out for them, and he ends up bending this metal gate between them and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is wow, you brought in real world history. Wow, we were so sympathetic to the villain, and we can see the motivation he has to not be a member of a persecuted group ever again. When mutants start to be persecuted, he's like, damn it, we're going to do something about this. And he becomes almost like a well-intentioned extremist, right?
Yeah, it's that famous poem when they They came for the intellectuals, but because they didn't come for me, I didn't speak up.
Yeah, and then they came for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. And then
Also,
they came
fuck
for
communists.
and,
So
well, there are the peaceful version of communists.
oh yeah.
But and then at the same time, there was also the great irony that here was a guy who has been forged in the fires of being mistreated, and he wants to like resist that, but he winds up mistreating another group, which is like non-mutants. And like there was some several layers to Magneto if you thought about it.
It's kind of sad that we're getting so far away from. This is gonna sound bad.
I know what you mean. I know you're
like we're getting so far away from World War II because Magneto's past as a person who survived the concentration camps is an awesome backstory.
Right, and the point I'm getting around to though is that Dr. Ice has no backstory at all, and he doesn't have these multiple layers. And he's interesting, I would say, for the style of delivery, and I like how he was just sort of calm and corporate in his way. But like, there could be more layers there, you know?
Yeah, like I said, he might. Though his personality is okay, but his action screams Saturday morning villain.
Which, granted, Magneto did that too in his movies. But,
okay, yeah, but
Magneto.
Magneto might have been Saturday morning villain-ish, but there was another thing to him. He was played by frickin' Gandalf.
Yes, Gandalf makes everything better.
He really does. Also, he had this whole backstory of he was in a concentration camp. But you could understand where he was coming from. It's not like this guy who was just, one day I woke up and decided, hey, let's put drugs in the water and make no more mutants.
I almost feel that Logan, the show, the movie, could have been a show. Like a Breaking Bad or whatever, like a high-quality TV show. And we could have had a lot more time to explore these various nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it should have been that. Like, I still liked it. I liked the movie.
Yeah, I liked the movie. I mean, like, it's going to be the last time you ever see Logan...
Hugh
Jackman playing Wolverine. And, thank God, because he's getting up there in years.
And I'm sure he's had his fill of Wolverine over the years. I mean, he likes it, but this has been a lot of Wolverine.
Yeah, he's been like in 8 movies. Yeah. Also, I think it's time that Marvel says, stop putting Wolverine in everything.
Yeah, at least for a while.
They had a TV show called Wolverine and the X-Men. The X-Men were second billing in their own show.
Speaking of shows with X-Men, remember that little bit where Laura is talking to the teen kid at the house? And they're like sharing the music. Like, you want to listen to this music? And you were joking, like, oh, maybe he's listening to like death metal or something. And I'm like, no. He asked me listening to the 90s X-Men theme song. Okay, I almost feel you went too quick from talking about the Holocaust to singing a Saturday morning cartoons theme.
To be fair, is there any speed that would be appropriate to go
There's
from Holocaust
no appropriate speed to that. Yeah. Anyway, Nazis still suck, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. But yeah, I liked the movie.
I like the movie.
You pointed out a lot of plot. I love what they did with the tone, because I could pick apart plot holes a lot, but the whole movie had a different tone than I've ever seen in a superhero film before.
Yeah,
I like that they accomplished that.
I agree.
Yeah. And then we're gonna see what they're gonna do with 2 more X-Men movies. Shrug.
Oh, make him die! Make him die!
I didn't even see Apocalypse. I didn't see X-Men Origins, Wolverine Origins, whatever.
Yeah, that movie was apparently so bad that they didn't do any more origin stories. They had them planned, but they didn't because they sewed Deadpool's mouth shut.
Yeah, they rectified that by making a completely different Deadpool movie, which was fun
and was better, and had T.J. Miller, I think his name is, whoever Bob or Weasel was.
Oh, I forget who does that, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, he I like that guy. Yeah, plus Ryan Reynolds is just phenomenal as Deadpool.
Yeah, he nails it.
It was his pet project. He spent like most of the time after Origins going, yeah, we need to make a Deadpool movie. And finally he got some people to make it.
Congratulations to him. And again, congratulations to Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. It was also his last film.
Yeah.
So they're gonna make 2 more X-Men movies without Professor X. Maybe a new Professor X. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who else could do Professor X? Not Patrick Stewart. He was
I don't know,
built for that role.
The other guys who did Professor X.
Yeah, I know, but come on. Patrick Stewart was always like the guy. He's perfectly the tone.
He's Patrick Stewart. He could be anybody.
He's bald. He fits. Even though technically Professor X is supposed to be American, it's like doesn't even matter. He's British now. I don't care.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like, even when he's crazy, like I said, even when he's reciting Taco Bell ads, he makes it sound like stuff you could tune in to watch. I would watch Patrick Stewart recite advertisements for an hour and a half. Okay, half an hour. Look, I have ADD. I've got to be honest with myself.
Honesty is the best policy, I suppose. Anyway, we're honest from telling you that overall...
The movie was good.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Anyways, I guess we're done here. So I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
Signing off.